Hey guys, I'm Naya and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I decided to go over the ban list once more and touch upon not just cards, but their actual impact on the decks in the current meta and how things are sort of going to evolve. Please let me know down in the comments, first of all, what you think of the ban list. We discussed that a bit, in the comment section in my reaction video. But let me know also, what are you going to be playing? What do you feel about the ban list overall? All of that. So with that being said, before we begin, I would also like to encourage you to subscribe because a lot of you are still not, and I would love for you to be part of this community. And firstly, we're just going to go over the ban list once more, but very briefly, and then we'll actually touch upon the decks and the impact of cards and all of that. So for the unlimited portion, we have Knight Assailant, Trishula, Scapegoat. These cards sort of don't really mean anything. They just felt like they weren't needed on the ban list anymore, and Knight Assailant had the errata. Trishula is not exactly an issue, as well as Scapegoat. And the other three cards being Mirage Stalio, a Circle, and also A Hero Lives just boost different strategies, which we will touch upon later. But those decks, they're really nice, but they lacked a little something, and right now this is what they got. And moving on to the semi-limited portion, we have Dynamite Knight and Ben 10, as well as Tinky and Light Stage, and all of these cards impacted, particular decks. So that's very nice for those decks. Especially for Ben 10, I felt like it wasn't really needed since Joy-Con didn't suffer or struggle that much, in my opinion. But maybe I'm just scared of Joy-Con and I'm a little bit biased. So there's that as well. As for Desires, it was really confusing that it went to 2, just because it went to 1 on the previous list. But I guess it being at 1 really it makes it so it's not worth playing, at least in most of the strategies. So with Desires being at 2, this is really nice because it's not exactly as consistent without, the third copy, but it still boosts up something like Sword Soul, something like Brigade, which sort of is the winner on this, going from this entire ban list, and we will touch upon that a bit later in the video. And as for the last card on the semi-limited portion, we have Wall of Revealing Light. Not much to say about it. It's a trap. When it's a trap, it's just too slow. It's not really, it's not really going to do anything. As for Light Stage, boosted up the Trickstar strategy if someone is still on it. This sort of feels a bit like a couple years too late. I mean, Trickstar is not exactly going to be an issue right now. And Light Stage was at 1 only because of Anaconda, and since Anaconda is banned, we will more than likely see Light Stage go to 3 at some point in time. And then we have the limited section. First of all, we have Jet Synchron coming from banned, which with Hulk being at 1, I guess it makes sense. And also with Aurora Dawn gone, this is like the biggest reason why, because Jet was abused together with Aurora Dawn, and right now it being at 1, I think is fine. It being at more than 1 feels a bit scary just because it's still Hulk, it's still a tuner, and since we still have Hulk in the game, I guess Jet Synchron at 1 is fine. And then we have Red Rose Dragon at 1, which this sort of makes Based a bit of a loser going from this ban list, but the actual Based end board, the way you, I guess, approach your combos, like nothing really changed that much, but you don't have that extra bit of consistency. So I don't know how many people will still want to pick up the strategy, but Brave was not hit. The entire adventure package is still very much part of the game. So if this is the thing to sort of, I guess, convince you to still play Brave, Based, or SAD, or any kind of like acronym at this point in time, this deck carries. If it still convinces you to play it, then sure, because the deck is not bad at all. But if consistency is important to you, which I think it should be in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, then I guess you just really need to make your choice. Then we have Yatagarasu and Change of Heart and Time Seal as well, coming to 1 from the banned portion of the ban list. I don't think any of these cards are going to impact the meta in any kind of, way. Change of Heart does feel a bit weird, as well as the other two actually, but Time Seal is a trap card. Yatagarasu is not going to do anything. Maybe it just should have stayed on the ban list for sentimental value because it was the first card banned, but that's pretty much it. And Change of Heart, it's a 1. Mind control is a 1. There is some parallel between them, and yeah, it's not going to impact the game, I think, in any kind of way. And then we also have monkey board coming from banned to 1. I didn't play back then. I heard a lot of horror stories about that part of, Yu-Gi-Oh's history. But I guess monkey board is a 1. The pendulum mechanic strategy, like everything pendulum, was hindered anyway. And you have Skullcrab Joker at 3, which searches monkey board, but at that point, are you really trying to play like all of this perform-a-pow stuff? I guess it's up to you to decide if you're running the pendulum strategy. And then we have Shooting Riser at 1 and also Hulk at 1, which both of these make sense. Shooting Riser a bit less than Hulk. Hulk just makes it so it being at 1 just makes it so if the first one gets disrupted, there is no fear if you're the opponent that, a second one is coming your way, which people did play too. So that was kind of annoying. Right now, Hulk is like the biggest choke point also in the base strategy. So that's why base is kind of, it lost some power with this ban list. As for Shooting Riser, like, it being at 1 just makes it so it cannot be abused, and that's pretty much it. It makes sense, like, it wasn't played at more than 1 anyway, but still, if you preemptively hit some stuff, it's very nice. And then we have the Forbidden Portion, which, meow meow, if we adjust it first, really hurt my heart because I love prank it, but I do realize that the deck was way too good. Like, when you have some stuff being a 1-card combo, and if you include the adventure stuff, it's not fair, and at that point, yes, Meow deserves to get banned, although it does hurt some people. It's still the way it is. And prank kits, yeah, we'll discuss that a bit later down the line. But yeah, we have Mechaphantomist Auroradon, which I predicted. I told you, and a lot of people disagreed with me, that Auroradon is the actual issue, because it is. Like, Hulk is annoying and all, but it does get disrupted. Like, it does get easily disrupted. Right now, it's also at 1, which is nice. And Auroradon was the thing that really pushed a lot of strategies forward. Something like Sword. So just random stuff could run this package easily because the 001 was the only brick. And then Auroradon just makes it so you have a much better board. And yeah, it's just very lame and unhealthy. And I'm a big fan of Auroradon being banned. And as for the last one, we have Anaconda, which I had no idea it was going to get banned. Like, I was just so focused on it not being banned. Like, I didn't even, give myself the option to think that it could actually get touched. Just because DPE came out, not so long ago, and people were really running it in every single strategy imaginable. But when you get to a point in time when you can make something like Brigade with branded just because of Anaconda, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. Like, it's just, yeah, it's just wild. When you get these sort of mashups of stuff, then that is the point in time where Konami sort of needs to say, okay, that's enough. And I'm glad that they addressed it. So, with all of that being said, hopefully this wasn't too long since we did cover a lot of that in the reaction video, but we can move on to the other portion of the video where we sort of discuss, some winners, some losers, or however you want to call it, and sort of how the meta is going to be impacted by this ban list. So first of all, we can touch upon the losers, basically, like, because the list is sort of shorter, and then we can end on a positive note as to what is coming our way in the format that we are in right now. First of all, pranks. I said pretty much everything that needed to be said. The last thing I want to add is that right now we will have to run fusion spells, polymerization, a lot of names, and I tried a couple stuff out, did some test hands, and it's kind of weird when you don't draw the perfect hand of 2 prank hits and a fusion spell, because in reality it's not going to happen that many times. You have instant fusion, you have 1-for-1, you have your extenders. But is it really enough? I guess that is the question that poses itself. And even if you can get going with like the perfect combo, I guess, of adventure, a lot of prank kits, polymerization, anything like that, then at the end of the day, if your board gets disrupted, you don't have the Meow Meow that you maybe shuffled back with pranks to be able to have follow-up. And when a deck doesn't have follow-up or enough follow-up, I just think it's not worth playing. You will go into grind game a lot. You need to you need to have your deck be consistent and also have follow-up, and you need to manage your resources properly. And if you don't even have the Meow Meow available to you, there's really nothing to manage. Like if your board gets disrupted, then you can just sit there with your one prank in hand and, you know, sort of reminisce of the good old days where you could summon Meow Meow. So yeah, I guess we need to figure some stuff out or just move on to a new deck. I guess we'll see. I will think about it some more. Then the next one is going to be based anything like that, any synchro, adventure, tiny, anything in that realm. I sort of said almost everything that needed to be said, just like with Prank Kids, while we were going through the ban list. Hulk is a choke point right now, and the second one is not going to be in the extra deck to save you anymore. That's one thing. You lost a lot of consistency because of Red Rose Dragon going to 1, and it's just not, I guess it's not worth it, or it's not worth it in some people's point of view. But if you still want to play the deck, like I said, the end boards are there, the lines of play are there. You just really need to focus on how you want to run it, perfect the build, because the Brave engine is still available to you. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing else really got hit that much. But the last thing I wanted to touch upon would be Sky Striker, because it was one of the decks that really abused like both of the best engines, which would be Brave and also DPE, Anaconda, Fusion Destiny. And you can still run 2 Fusion Destiny, 2 bricks, but at that point in time, you're running 2 Fusion Destiny, 2 bricks. So 2 good cards for 2 bad cards. And yeah, it's really up to you to decide to maybe make Sky Striker either a hard going first build, a hard going second build. You need to decide on every single card in your strategy, because Sky Striker does sort of draw weird hands and bricks anyway. So yeah, adding more bricks just feels a bit counterintuitive. You really need to decide. And as for the better portion, the winners, the decks that will move forward with a lot more power, we have a lot of them. The first one, of course, is going to be Despia, which Despia lost nothing. You still have a lot of variants, and with the adventurer stuff not being hit at all, you have the Brave Despia variant, you have everything else, you have support from Dimension Force. So Despia is really going to be at the forefront of the format, I think. The next deck would be Sortso. Sortso just feels like, among all of those strategies, just feels like it's the first one that's actually fair, like in a very long time. So it makes sense that Sortso is not hit. But I do like the fact that they don't have the Aurora online, making them even better. But they have Pot of Desires. So they gained something, they lost something, and Hulk still gets you to some stuff if you still want to play it, like by any means you can. But just not the Auroradon portion. So yeah. All of these, by the way, are not in any sort of order. Despia is just the best one, and Sortso is also there, but other ones I'm going to discuss are just, you know, nice decks, are going to be nice decks moving forward. None of them are like, you know, in an order from which one is better or not. We're just going to go through them. So the first one will be Joy-Chan. Has 2 Benten now, which, you know, cool for the Joy-Chan players. Overall, I'm glad for them, because I know that you really need to perfect your Joy-Chan build, and you have so many engines available to you, but you need to decide and test it out a lot to see what works. So that's nice. Then you also have Salamangreat, sort of making a comeback. 3 Circo and 3 Stalio. That's pretty much full power, almost. You know, there's still that 1 Gazelle, which hopefully is not going to go to more than 1, because at that point, Salamangreat is going to be really busted with the addition of Heat Soul. It just goes through cards easily because you draw a lot with Heat Soul. And yeah, I really boosted up the strategy. And also, we can touch upon another deck that got its card back in the unlimited portion, which would be Heroes. A Hero Live is now at 3, and Heroes overall just feel like a strategy that you really need to watch out for, because it can catch you off guard. And the next one is going to be Tri Brigade, a bird brigade, like anything. Basically, it did get 2 Tanky and also 2 Desires, and I think that's very nice. The deck is good, like, overall, and it's consistent. Maybe it's just sort of not strong enough with, I don't know, Revoltapalooza being like the regular board you would go for, maybe double Dragon Lords as well, but you still lose to a lot of stuff, and the power level is not really the same as with something like Despia or the decks that are at the forefront of the format. And then lastly, we can touch upon Draco, because you did get Dynamite Knight to 2, but we still don't have Masterpiece back. So until Masterpiece comes back, there's really nothing to worry about in my opinion. When it does though, because inevitably it will, we'll see. We'll see. I'll talk to you about that when it happens. I'm a bit scared right now thinking about it, but yeah, it's not back yet. So Dynamite Knight at 2, completely fine. And the last thing, the final thing I want to say, again, Brave was not hit. Any part of the adventure engine, like nothing was hit. So you have Adventure Virtual World, Adventure Phantom Knight, basically anything that is kind of okay with its built-in engine, and then with the addition of adventure is really going to sort of step up in a way moving forward, I think, because it's not hindered by the best decks anymore, and also people that maybe played pranks together with adventure would rather play prank kids than something like Virtual World or Phantom Knights that feels a bit less consistent or less powerful. But right now with prank kids almost completely gone, people will probably switch to Virtual World, to Phantom Knight, to Brigade, to even Striker if they want. Also Eldritch. So Eldritch, I guess it can still be played with Brave, but you don't have the Anaconda sight lock anymore. Although, talking about sight lock, you know, sight was not banned. So you still have ways in Phantom Knight, for example, in other decks, but they are a bit more niche and sort of weird, if you want to put it that way. So if you want to play the sight lock, sure, it's still available to you. Also Sanctum, all of that. So that's something to take into account. And I think that would pretty much be it. I think we touched upon everything, all of the decks that were impacted in a positive or negative way. And I would like to encourage you once more, interact with me in the comment section. I always, answer everything. I really want to know your thoughts and opinions. What are you going to be playing? All of that. And yeah, if you like the video, like it, give me a sub, check out all of the social media, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.